Hello, Mama Angeles. We are moving to the next stage of the pandemic. And as the world resets to the new normal, we find ourselves seeking the balance between health and livelihood, constantly adjusting the boundaries between liberty and responsibility. Here are tonight's news. Millions of Europeans emerged from the lockdown on Monday, with hardest-hit Italy leading the way out of its 2-month coronavirus confinement. Italians were free to stroll and visit relatives for the first time in 9 weeks, as Europe's hardest-hit country eased back the world's longest remaining coronavirus lockdown. More than 4 million people, an estimated 72% of them men, returned to their construction sites and factories as the economically and emotionally shattered country tried to get back to work. The sounds of banging, drilling echoed across Rome, and a group of men drank espresso out of plastic cups in front of the Pantheon, the former Roman temple, as cafes reopened for takeout service, but bars and even ice cream parlors will remain shut. The use of public transport will be discouraged, and everyone will have to wear masks in indoor public spaces. Italy's economy, the Eurozone's third largest, is expected to shrink more than in any year since the global depression of the 1930s. In Spain, some small businesses such as hairdressers have opened for individual customer appointments or will open. The country has also unveiled plans to reopen the economy in 4 phases. We have more from our EBC correspondent in Barcelona. Lynn Tumbaga-Diaz joins us live. Hello, Lynn.
Hi, Alma.
Good evening from Manila. What are your updates for us?
Okay. The Prime Minister of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, has announced to lift the lockdowns in Spain and outlined normalcy plan. According to him, the plan is gradual, asymmetric, and coordinated de-escalation. There will be reopening. There will be 4 phases with 4 different phases.
Android TV, among others. Access to iTunes programming, both videos and podcasts, will now be available for everyone to watch via streaming applications.
You know, as time goes on, one of the most fast-changing things that takes place is the advancement in media broadcasting, the advancement in technology and platform opportunities. We hope it will continue to enhance the Christian culture inside the Church of Christ and reach out to our communities.
All right, we'll try to go on a break. We'll try and get Lynn back as soon as we get a better connection with Barcelona, Spain. Eagle News will be right back.
Mula noon hanggang ngayon, gabay natin ang MTRCB ratings sa matalino at responsableng panonood. Sa tamang pagsunod sa MTRCB ratings, ginagawa nating ligtas at makabuluhan ang panonood ng bawat miyembro ng pamilyang Pilipino. Lumipas man ang panahon, hanggang may pamilyang Pilipino, andyan ang MTRCB.
It says the best defense is still containment.
We are in uncharted territory.
Final volume 450. If mo to 100%. Standing by. Construction eh.
All right, welcome back. As earlier said, Spain is trying to open its economy in 4 phases. And joining us live from Barcelona, Spain is Lynn Tumbaga Diaz. Hello, Lynn.
Hi, Alma.
Okay, so what are your updates for us now, Lynn?
Okay. The Prime Minister of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, has announced to lift the lockdowns in Spain and outlined normalcy plan. According to him, the plan is a gradual, asymmetric, and coordinated de-escalation. There will be 4 phases with 4 different levels of reopening. Phase 0, 1, 2, and 3. We can divide it to preparatory phase. Phase 0, May 4 until May 11. Phase 1, 2 weeks from May 11. Phase 2, last 2 weeks of May. And Phase 3, end of June. Phase 0, from May 4 to May 11, hair salons, dentists, and other businesses that offer services by appointment can reopen. A special schedule of preferential attention for people over 65 years. When professional services required contact with customers, it will be required to use protective measures like masks or gloves. Restaurants can offer takeaway services with no consumption on the premises. Professional sports leagues will be back to training. And short walks and individual sporting activities allowed starting on the 2nd of May. On Phase 1, 2 weeks from May 11, these will be the activities. All provinces that meet the requirements will move to Phase 1 on 11th of May, except for 3 islands in the Canaries, La Gomera, El Hierro, and La Graciosa, and the Balearic Islands of Formentera, where Phase 1 begins on the 4th of May as an exemption. Small businesses to reopen under strict safety conditions. The opening of retail premises will include a preferential timetable to serve people over 65 years of age. And bars and restaurants can reopen their terraces with no more than 30% occupation. Hotels and other tourist accommodation can reopen, excluding the common areas. And places of worship will also be reopened, limiting the capacity to 30%. Opening of activities in the sector agri-food, and fishing that they maintained restrictions. High-performance sports centers will be reopened, but with athletes assigned schedule. Professionals, leagues will be allowed to train, and masks will be worn on public transport. You will be also allowed to travel in a car with those people from the same household. Public transport in urban and interurban levels will offer services 80 to 100%. At the phase 2, last 2 weeks of May, these are the activities that will follow. Theaters and cinemas to reopen, filling no more than a third of their capacity. Cultural centers such as art, galleries, and museums will reopen, again operating only a third of regular capacity. Places of worship will increase their capacity to 50%. Hunting and sports fishing will be allowed. And although the school year will resume later in September, there will be some exemptions at this pre-summer stage. Reinforcement, activities for children up to 6 years old if both of their parents are working, and also for the selectivitat or the university admission examination. And also, families can visit people disabled in residences and sheltered housing. On the phase 2, people will be able to travel to their holiday homes, provided that they are in the same province, and people should be allowed to see friends and family in the same province, although under what conditions wasn't yet clear. And weddings with a limited number of people or guests. On the phase 3, which is the last phase towards the end of June, these are the activities. Shops will be allowed to open at half capacity with the distancing of 2 meters between clients, and restrictions on restaurants and bars will be further loosened. Opening of the beaches and the capacity of commercial areas will be limited to 50%, and a minimum 2-meter distance will be advised between people. Things will become more flexible, though masks will still be recommended in public and also in particular programs. And the source of this report is Lamon Cloud. And that's the latest here, Alma.
Stay healthy for us, and we'll be waiting for more updates from Spain. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you. From Barcelona, I'm Lynn Bautista. Yes, we live in interesting times.
Now over to the United Kingdom. They're also preparing a plan to ease the lockdown. Jennifer Ringwood joins us live from the United Kingdom. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello, Alma. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you. What are your updates for us?
Here's the update from the United Kingdom. The British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, will set out his plan to ease the nationwide coronavirus lockdown next Sunday. This is what was mentioned in reports and what the reports have said. A new guidance has emerged on how to maintain social distancing in the workplace. So the stay-at-home orders imposed in late March are up for review on Thursday in Britain. One of the worst hit countries, it looks like that's what it's going to be in this COVID-19 pandemic. So the UK at the moment, the trajectory, if it remains the same, it really looks like we are going to be one of the worst hit. But the government has already said the measures will be eased gradually. So they keep emphasising this part that, yes, they are looking at easing the restrictions and getting rid of the lockdown, but it will be done very, very carefully and in very set out stages. So the new guidance drawn up with company bosses and trade unions, it was seen by the BBC and the Financial Times. It suggests that office workers will be encouraged to stay at home for months to avoid overwhelming the transport system. But where staff must come in, companies are being urged to stagger shifts, stop people sharing desks or stationery, and step up these types of hygiene measures to keep staff safer. They're looking at keeping the canteens shut and to restrict the number of people in lifts. Shop or bank branch workers dealing with customers must be protected by plastic screens according to these recommendations, although there is no detail on what kind of protective equipment other employees might require. Britons are currently being told to stay at home unless they need to work, or buy essentials or by taking daily exercise, but they must stay at least 2 meters away from other people. Maintaining the social distancing while restarting the economy brings huge problems. One quote on this that we found here on AFP is, "It won't work in aviation or any other form of public transport. And the problem is not the plane, it is the lack of space in the airport." And this was said by the Chief Executive of London's Heathrow Airport, John Holland Kay. He said, "Just one jumbo jet would require a queue a kilometre long." He wrote in the Daily Telegraph, so that's one of his articles there. So yesterday, our total number of deaths in the UK had already hit 28,446. I believe there's a further 300 from today to add from over the weekend. I haven't been able to verify that, I'm afraid. I mean, we tend to get our updates more accurate as the day goes on. So I haven't been able to update you completely on that. So that's the number of current deaths in the UK, and as you can see, we're going past other countries in Europe at the moment, so it may well be the most badly affected. Back to you, Alma.
Okay, so the British minister has announced that they can ease existing restrictions. They must ensure that the government's 5 tests are met. And that is, yeah.
That's right. That's what we've heard in the briefing yesterday. And there's a little bit more on that today. That number of cases are falling, and it does look like the death rate are declining. The NHS has what it needs, and those are the reports that we're getting back. There are still some issues with certain types of PPE, but for the majority, many of the hospitals are now saying that they have what they need, and that the measures are in place to stop a second peak overwhelming the NHS. I've done a little bit of research on the 5 steps, if you want that. It's not that different from what Sister Lynn said earlier.
Yes.
In her report.
All right, thank you very much, Jennifer, for all that updates, and I'm sure many more will come out of the United Kingdom as we follow this developing story. Thank you so much for your time, Jennifer.
Thank you, Alma. I'm Jennifer Ringwood from the United Kingdom. We live in interesting times.
Indeed. And over in Russia, the coronavirus cases rose over 10,000 for the second straight day. Emmy Coloma joins us live from Moscow. Hello, Emmy.
Hello, Alma. Good afternoon.
Good evening from Manila. Good afternoon there. What are your updates for us, Emmy?
Update now here in Moscow. Today, May 4, 2020, coronavirus cases rise by over 10,000 second straight day. Russia confirmed 10,581 new coronavirus infections over 24 hours, reached 145,268 in all regions. Over 18,000 recovered and 1,356 death toll. Crisis Center said the daily increase rate stand at 7.9%, some 5,352 new cases, 50.6% rate without symptoms. Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin on Thursday confirmed that he has the coronavirus, making him the highest-ranking official in Russia to contract the virus. Russia is emerging a new hotspot for the coronavirus as many countries lockdown measures official official fatality rate has remained low from other countries that have higher cases of COVID-19. Russia had extended a non-working quarantine period until May 11, but have also indicated they could confinement measures which vary from region to region. President Vladimir Putin planned major celebration for this year's 75th anniversary, a victory day, with world leaders in Red Square. Denis Manturov told the state that Russia has lifted its ban on the export of medical masks and respirators, and there is no shortage of masks or other sanitary product in Russian pharmacies. Russia will using drones and helicopter to enforce self-isolation rules in Moscow and in Moscow region over the May holidays. The drones and helicopter will send information about violation to officer in the ground, who will issue fines to violator. Always be positive and keep your spirit higher than worries. Reporting from Eagle News, this is Emi Coloma from Moscow, Russia. Believe in interesting time. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you, Emmy. Ingat po dyan. Maraming salamat.
Okay.
Over in Japan, the government is preparing to extend its nationwide state of emergency till the end of May. More from Tyra Lu. Hello, Tyra.
Hello, Alma. Good evening, and good evening to all our televiewers.
Go ahead.
Japan Prime Minister Shinzo Abe extended a state of emergency over the COVID-19 until the end of May, as the government warned it was too soon to lift restrictions. Abe declared a month-long state of emergency that initially covered Tokyo and 6 other regions on April 7, later extending it to cover the entire country. It had been due to expire on Wednesday, but the country's virus response minister, Yasutoshi Nishimura, said earlier that new infections were still growing. Japan's virus outbreak remains comparatively small compared to those seen in parts of Europe and the United States, with over 15,000 infections recorded and 510 deaths. But the extension was backed by both experts advising the government and regional governors, with concerns that a sudden spike in cases that would overwhelm healthcare systems remains possible. The state of emergency falls far short of the strict measures seen in parts of Europe and the United States. It allows local governors to urge people to stay at home and call on businesses to stay shut. However, officials cannot compel citizens to comply, and there are no punishments for those who fail to do so. The government is expected to urge residents in 13 high-risk prefectures, including Japan's biggest cities, to continue cutting person-to-person contact by 80% and exercise other strict social distancing measures. But museums, libraries, and some other facilities are likely to be allowed to reopen so long as they take antivirus measures. For the rest of Japan, prefectures will be allowed to loosen restrictions on business closures and small gatherings, but residents will still be asked not to travel outside their home regions. Bars and nightclubs will be asked to remain shut. It remains unclear when and whether schools, many of which have been closed since March, will be able to reopen, with officials recently suggesting a possible phased reopening with certain key grades resuming before others. Prime Minister Abe Shinzo said experts would review the situation around May 14th and the measures could be lifted at that time, depending on the situation in a given region. Alma?
All right. Thank you very much, Tyra, for your
Thank you.
updates. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Thank you, Alma. Same to you. This is Tyra Nalpiliulu from Tokyo, Japan, because we live in interesting times.
Over in Bangkok, the government had asked the people coming from the provinces to quarantine themselves for 14 days. Gretchen Cusadas joins us live from Bangkok. Hello, Gretchen. Okay, Gretchen, can you hear me?
Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
There
Hello?
you go. Hello, Gretchen. Okay, there you go. I can hear you now. Good to see you. Okay, what are your updates from Bangkok? Yes.
Yes, we have here an update. Based on the report from Bangkok Post, the Interior Ministry has issued an order for people returning home to the provinces during the current long weekend to be kept under quarantine for 14 days. This was also ordered to the mass of people making trips up country, mostly from Bangkok, to prevent COVID-19 transmission. The Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, or the CCSA, on Saturday said nearly 1 million people traveled on Labor Day alone, which marked the start of the long weekend. It was also reported on Saturday that a large portion of workers have left Phuket and headed home to other provinces. The popular resort island province is one of the coronavirus hotspots in the south, which recorded 220 coronavirus infections and 2 deaths. Meanwhile, on Saturday, the Permanent Secretary for the Interior signed an order for local authorities to ensure that visitors and natives who return from other provinces isolate themselves at home or at specific locations for 14 days. As it was only single-digit daily infections have been reported in the past several days, including 6 each on Friday and on Saturday, while 3 on Sunday. Alma, in connection to Sunday, new cases confirmed. It was late in the afternoon that the Provincial Public Health Office has confirmed 40 new coronavirus cases in the province of Yala after thorough testing among at-risk groups, including those recently returned from neighboring countries. According to the provincial public health chief, this was the result from the intense testing since April 20. And also, although we have yesterday was actually the first day of opening of some shops here in Thailand, also 2 shopping malls, but here are other establishments that are still closed until May 31st. These are the theater, cinema, playhouse, pub, bar, entertainment venue, water park, amusement park, playground, children's play areas in the market, including floating markets and flea markets, department stores, but except the supermarket area, pharmacies, miscellaneous goods that are essential, retail stores, telecommunication businesses, banks, and government and state enterprise offices. It's also closed the zoos, billiards or snooker venue, bowling alley or arcade, game center, and the internet cafe, public pool or similar business, rooster fight ring, fitness center, museum, exhibition location, exhibition center and convention hall, library, nursery, elderly care, boxing stadium, martial arts school or gym, tattoo parlor, dance school, racetrack, sauna or steaming room, massage parlor, amulet shop, weight loss shop or beauty clinics, and banquet hall, all performances in public areas, all types of arenas, skating or rollerblade park, And the beauty salons is only allowed to cut and wash and set the hair without other customers waiting in the shops. We also have the sports stadiums, but it's only sport that do not need multiple players, while clubhouse must be closed to prevent people from gathering. For the parks, it's only open for individuals to exercise, such as walking, running, or bicycling while keeping social distancing. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much for all those updates, and we'll be waiting for more over there in Bangkok. Thank you, Gretchen.
Thank you. This is Gretchen Satsat from Bangkok, Thailand. We live in interesting times.
No new cases of COVID-19 in New Zealand. Joining us live is Bea Borja. Hello, Bea.
Hello, Alma. A bit of good news from New Zealand tonight.
Indeed, yes. Go ahead, Bea.
Okay, for the first time today, New Zealand Ministry of Health reported 0 new cases. There were also no new deaths in the past 24 hours. This development comes after close to 5 weeks of lockdown and a week into alert level 3. In addition, out of the 16 clusters identified by the ministry, 3 have been considered closed. Just a little bit of explanation at this point. Clusters are groups of 10 or more people who are connected through transmission, that is, they were infected by another person within that identified group and are not part of the same household. Clusters are closed after 10 days or when 2 incubation periods of 14 days each have passed since the last reported case. The Prime Minister today said that while we can take heart in recording no new cases today, the result reflects the situation that ultimately reflects the end of lockdown in alert level 4, not the effect of greater activity at level 3. Dr. Ashley Bloomfield, Ministry of Health Director General, said as well that while these developments are certainly very encouraging, the real test would be later this week after the completion of 1 incubation period that the country will see whether or not new cases are still emerging and becoming symptomatic. He also mentioned that a small number of cases would not be the only consideration in deciding whether to shift to level 2. According to him, it's also important to know where cases are coming from, either from the community or from overseas, the patterns of infection, and the public's compliance to alert level 3 measures. These are very important for rapid contact tracing and to test and isolate close contacts of any possible new case. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister earlier announced that her cabinet will meet May 11 to discuss and decide whether to move or delay declaring alert level 2. With a good start to the final week before the cabinet meeting, Dr. Bloomfield said that 0 cases is a cause for celebration, being symbolic of the effort everyone has put in. He, however, cautioned the public that this is not the time to let their guard down and squander the advantage of having put the virus under control. Alma?
All right. Very good news indeed. Alert level 2, what would that look like for New Zealand?
There are no
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a very general guidance at this point. The details will come out on Thursday when they have ironed out the details of the kinds of businesses that will be open and the kinds of measures that they have to have in place.
All right. Thank you very much, Bea. And we are really interested on the developments there over in New Zealand. Thank you so much for your updates.
Thank you, Alma. This is Bea Borja reporting live from Wellington City, New Zealand. We live in interesting times.
And Philippine Ambassador to China, His Excellency Jose Santiago Chito Santa Romana, in an exclusive interview with EBC Net 25, has discussed the Filipino community there and how the Wuhan area in China was able to overcome the virus. Let's watch this. All right, we would like to welcome to our program His Excellency Jose Santiago Chito Santa Romana, the Philippine Ambassador to China. Good afternoon from Manila. Mr. Ambassador, kumusta na po kayo dyan?
Kumusta naman kayo? Okay naman ako dito sa Beijing. It's the situation here has improved since January and February. But patapos na yung tinatawag na first wave. I mean, now they're down to, like yesterday, ano lang, 2 or 3 cases ang infection. And hindi local infection, kung hindi yung mga galing Chinese na umuwi dito from abroad. So that's what they're guarding against, yung the so-called second wave from possibly abroad. So we're okay. We're much better. Pero nag-iingat pa rin. When I go out, I have to wear a mask. I avoid crowds pa rin. And pero unlike before, I was really on quarantine. I barely left the embassy and the office. Pero ngayon, it's improving. It's improved a lot compared to January and February.
Kumusta naman po ang kalagayan ng ating mga Filipino community po dyan?
Actually, mahusay ang sitwasyon dito ng mga Pinoy. In the sense na walang Pinoy na nakatira dito, nagtatrabaho dito na infect during that whole period, no? From January to March. Ngayon, nagkaroon ng dalawa, isa galing pa sa Pilipinas kasi nagbakasyon dyan ng Chinese New Year, na-stuck dyan, tapos nung bumalik siya, ay for some reason, pag-land niya sa China, nung tinest siya, positive. Diretso sa hospital. Pero tapos na yung kanyang treatment. He recovered very well and now he's undergoing yung... Kasi dito, pagkatapos ng treatment sa hospital, parang precautionary, 14 days, ano pa rin, mandatory quarantine. Tinatapos niya ngayon yun. At actually, by now, tapos na. Bumalik na siya sa kanyang work unit at yung kanyang tinitirahan. Malapit dito sa Beijing, mga 1 hour away. Meron yung pangalawang kaso naman ay isang seaman na actually nagkasakit siya sa barko. Kaya lang yung barko, malapit na sa China, kaya dinala siya dito sa malapit sa Shanghai, south of Shanghai. Tinignan siya ng Chinese doctor, tapos nakita nga positive rin. Dinala siya sa hospital and he recovered. Actually ngayon, ano na siya, he may be rejoining the boat or whatever. He's in good shape. So ngayon, masasabi natin na walang Pinoy na nasa hospital or tinitreat or whatever. Pero dahil umpisa pa lang, talagang ang panawagan na sa lahat, huwag lalabas, mag-ingat, kasi lockdown nun Yung mga taga-Wuhan, ngayon, na sila, libre na sila, hindi na wala na lockdown, pero nag-iingat pa rin sila. Meron tayong mga over almost 200 na nandun, over 200 na nandun pa rin sa Wuhan, Hubei area. Pero sa big cities like Shanghai, Beijing, halos back to the new norm, hindi back on to the new normal, no? Kasi hindi naman katulad ng dati. Ang problema sa China, at ito rin ang sinasabi namin sa ating mga kababayan, lalo na yung nandun ngayon, meron tayong mga kababayan nandun sa northeast China na karapit ng Russian border. Doon ngayon ang hotspot. Medyo nagkaroon na ilang kaso, mga Chinese na galing sa Russia, umuwi, no? Kasi medyo pataas, padami yung kaso sa Russia. Natatakot yung mga Chino bumalik. Ngayon, pagbalik naman nila, sila pa infected na ba iba sa kanila? Kaya dun sa probinsya na karapit sa border with Russia, sa northeast China, yun ang naging hotspot. Pero it's not a big number. I mean, it's just that it's under careful watch. At kasali din to na tinatawag na possible second wave, yung mga galing sa labas, no? Galing sa Europa, sa Russia, sa Amerika, na kung sa Italy, Spain, na kung saan pataas ngayon nandun pa yung bulusok pa yung epidemic, yung pandemic, na gusto bumalik dito. Ang problema, mahigpit. For example, sa Beijing, kung isang Pinoy, no? Hindi kami basta makaalis. I mean, kung aalis ka ng Beijing, ang problema yung pagbalik. Well, ang problema ngayon, kung uuwi sa Pilipinas, walang flight, no? Walang direct flight. Kaya we're basically staying put. Actually, ganun sa buong China. We can't travel back to the Philippines. Ang problema, pabalik. merong quarantine din. So, pupunta ka sa Pilipinas, 14-day quarantine, babalik ka dito, 14-day, kaya parang ang sentimiento ngayon, magstay na lang muna, maghintay na humusay pa ang kondisyon, no? At right now, relatively speaking, in a sense, parang safer ngayon dito kasi under control yung pandemic dito. Halos nabibilang lang ang kaso na naispatan nila everyday, and usually sa airport dun sa buwabalik. Kasi pagka dayuhan o pagka Chinese ka or dayuhan na pumunta sa China ngayon, pagdating mo dito, hindi lang yung quarantine, nucleic acid test, yung test ka agad. Titignan kung mag-test positive or negative for all the arrivals. Kaya matindi ang matindi at lalo na they have a policy to protect the capital, Beijing. Ayaw nilang part of it is nandito yung leadership ng China.
Yes.
Kaya iniingatan nila. Kaya lahat ng flights na papunta sa Beijing, internationally, although ngayon mabibilang na lang, hindi pwede mag-land sa Beijing. Merong 11 cities around Beijing, Tianjin, Shanghai, Nanjing. Ibig sabihin, there are 11 cities, doon muna maglaland lahat, doon i-check. At kung sino ang merong positive or suspicious manifestation, iko-quarantine doon bago tumuloy sa Beijing yung mga pasahero. Yung mga negative, they can take the plane and land in Beijing. Pag land dito, ganun pa rin. Test ulit. Quarantine. Kaya, it's a very strict regimen that they're imposing, and that's why under control. Ang problema, ang timetable nila is they're having what they call, this is the annual political event, the People's Congress. Yung meron silang mga top political representatives, they will hold their version of a legislative congress, usually for mga 10 days. Na-postpone to, usually Marso ito na-postpone to ngayon, end of this month, May 20 actually. So yun ang parang magiging occasion in which I think the Chinese leadership will declare a major achievement in controlling pero warning against a second wave, pero it will mark the new normal na for example, itong May Day. May Day ngayon from May 1 to May 5 is holidays dito sa China for Chinese citizens and for foreigners too, So nagbakasyonan sila pero dito lang sa paligid. Mga taga Beijing, they went around, drive around. Kaya ang dami na nagkaroon ng traffic sa expressways and all that. Tapos binuksan na yung Great Wall, yung Forbidden City, mga tourist spots. Kaya lang, you have to book ahead of time, 30% lang ang pwede para may social distancing. Kaya yung mga picture na lumabas ng mga Chinese sa Great Wall, sa Forbidden City, wala na yung crowds.
Yes.
Konti lang nandun. Which is a good way.
Yes.
Pero sarado pa rin ang movie theater, cinema, yung mga karaokes, gyms, sarado pa rin. Ang bukas yung mga tindahan, yung mga tourist spots yun. Eskwela, nagbukas lang yung graduating senior class ng high school. Kasi mag-university exam. Kaya nag-umpisa sila last week. Sila lang. Yung mga below them, up to primary, hindi pa. Baka later this month, they will open. The same with yung mga universities, I think, hindi na magbubukas until next semester. So yun ang new normal dito sa China. And for our countrymen, ang problema, alam mo, karamihan ng ating, a significant portion of our countrymen are teachers. Teachers sa kindergarten, nurseries, high school, grade school. Ngayon walang eskwela, kaya some of them, ang arrangement, as a matter of fact, most of them pala, ang arrangement, no work, no pay. So they've been calling the embassy. They were hoping na yung pinapamahagi ng dole, aabot sa kanila dito sa overseas, Ang problema, ang gusto lang ng dole, yung meron silang labor attaché. Kasi sa China, wala pang labor attaché. Wala ditong Philippine Overseas Labor Office. Kasi wala pang labor agreement between the two countries. At saka dito, they have an agreement for mga university teachers, no, to come over. They want to English teachers from the Philippines. Pero wala yung parang household help. There is a big demand for Pinoy kasi gusto nila lang nag-i-English. Pero hindi pa handa ngayon yung Chinese authorities compete with the surplus labor that they have. So because of that, wala pang labor attaché, no? But because walang labor attaché, yung DOLE would only give to overseas Filipinos in countries with labor attaché. Kaya wala din sa China. Sinasabi nga na pwedeng gawin to ng embassy, kahit na ibang attaché, pinag-uusapan pa. Kaya yung mga teachers na hindi nagtatrabaho kasi naghihintay ng eskwela, na magbukas yung eskwela, kaya they've been going through their savings, no? Yung rental nila the past 3 months. Kaya ang ginawa na ng embassy, we distributed to the most needy, no? What we call care packages, no, from kasi merong pondo ang gobyerno for assistance to overseas Filipinos, no, assistance to national fund. Yun, pero more symbolic ito, mga groceries, mga noodles, tsaka vitamin C, no. So we've sent to a couple. We couldn't send to everyone because there's not enough. Pero those who are most in need, no? Tapos meron din tayong isa pang klaseng mga kababayan dito, yung tinatawag natin the undocumented, no? Pumasok sila as tourists, kaya lang hindi na sila bumalik, hindi na sila lumabas, no? Nakahanap ng trabaho, tapos walang work visa, tapos bali nagtatago na lang, no? Tapos ngayon, problema, they want to come home, no? Kasi yung minsan yung amo nila, hindi na din sila pinapapasok. Ang problema, walang flights. So they're the most in need. And they're the ones na we gave care packages to. Pagka nagkaroon ng flights, I think we'll try to, ang first priority is to help them to go back. Kasi yung mga yan, paso na yung visa, hinuhuli ng Chinese police kasi overstaying. Tapos they have to pay a fine. Tapos ngayon, the Chinese police, however, in a show of leniency, they won't do it, no? Pero kailangan i-process yung papeles bago makauwi. Kaya yun ang the police station itself ayaw patanggapin sometime this month, and then they can go home, no? So yun ang karaniwang problema. Otherwise, the Filipino community is that.
Okay.
Yeah.
How is China's lifestyle? Kanina sinabi nyo, na-mention nyo yung new normal. How is China's lifestyle and businesses looking now in a post-COVID world?
Well, ang una nilang pinabalik sa mga yung mga sa factories, no? Pero again, under the new normal, kaya medyo wearing face mask, medyo hindi masyado magkakatabi, no? So yung mga factories, they're trying to get them back. And they have been functioning, no? I think we're probably close to what it was before. Ang problema nila more is ganito kasi you can't produce the same as before because yung overseas market mo may problema, no? So the Chinese economy, I think, will recover to the extent na yung local market, yung domestic market, no, domestic consumers can afford it. And they have a big domestic market, no, malaki yan. Yung problema yung export sector. At saka isang problema din yung restaurants and hotels, sarado pa yung mga yan. Ang what's keeping the business going sa mga restaurants, dito, yung delivery service is very much improved. No, even during the height of the pandemic, tuloy actually most of the city we were surviving on order ka na meron silang software dito na you can just order in any restaurant. If you want Peking duck, pwede pang Peking duck Pero i-deliver sa'yo and it delivers in time, no? So that's what kept some of the restaurants going. Otherwise, if you go in kung nag-iisa ka, baka pwede. Kung dalawa lang kayo, at most, I think 3 or 4 eh. Pero malayo, no, ang pagitan sa bawat isa. At saka, otherwise, ang ginawa ng mga restaurants, naglagay sila ng parang counters outside, no?
Yes.
Na you can buy, tapos no contact buying, no? You put the money in a box and all that. Tapos they put the food in a box and then keeping distance, no? Hotel has been badly hit kasi walang tourism. Tapos ngayon pa lang they're trying to figure out how to get it going, no? So it's quite a challenge, no? Tapos miski sa subway or buses, they try to observe yung hindi pwedeng puno. No? You keep your distance. So, pero traffic is back to a certain extent, not as bad as before.
Not as bad, yeah.
Pero nag-umpisa na yung kotse, yung people out in the streets. But they were, almost it's you feel naked or if you're not wearing a face mask, no? Lahat nakamaskara, lahat keeping distance, no? So yun ang new normal dito. I mean, it's the economy is starting to, I think when we see the end of the month result, we'll see a sharp recovery, pero not yet back to where it was before, pero certainly bumagsak kasi first quarter -7% sila. So now they're trying to make their way back, and it's a challenge. Pero yun ang tinutuunan ng pansin ngayon ng Chinese leadership, no? Before they were focused on the epidemic, ngayon na under control, they say the focus is now on the economic recovery.
Yes.
And at the same time preventing a possible second wave.
And you were talking about the economy as well. How is Wuhan after the lockdown? The trading posts for many shipping companies are in China, as well as yun nga po, production centers. How are they being affected?
Actually, it's a city that's probably as big, if not bigger, for 76, talagang frozen in time. Now they're back. Yung may traffic na sila, the public transportation is back. The same with mga shops. Pero they observe, just like Beijing, hindi pa rin yung restaurants, hindi pwedeng mapuno, no? And then tuloy yung well, of course, yung hospitals that there were built specially for COVID, yung temporary hospital, nasara na lahat yun. Wala na kasing pasyente. They're now back to the regular hospitals. No? Wala nang the last COVID, yung talagang COVID patient lang, as of last week. Meron pa rin yung may underlying condition, hindi na COVID, kundi yung merong heart condition, merong dialysis or kidney, na nandun na sa regular hospital, pero yung special hospital, sinara na, no? So, Wuhan is going back to, well, they're starting rather a new normal, parang a city that was asleep, nagising, no? Gumising na. At they're trying to recover their stride, no? Tapos unti-unti. Kasi ano yan there are major factories there. The Wuhan Steel, the Wuhan, there's an iPhone factory there. There's a French car company there. There's a Japanese also factories there. So unti-unti yan. Yun ang unang inaayos yung mga factories. And then unti-unti itong mga services.
How will they affect us, sir?
How's that?
How will they affect us? Philippines.
The Philippines. Ngayon, at least we're hoping to restart. Well, actually, natuloy pa rin, no? For example, the demand for bananas, no? For a while, naapektuhan niya kasi demand, export mismo, no? Yung shipping was nag-clogged yung hindi gumagalaw yung containers sa mga ports. So for a while our exports are affected, pero now back in the markets you see the bananas, and then yung mga demand for fruits, especially kasi nutritious and healthy. There is a projected increase. No? So yun ang favorable na impact sa atin. No? There will be an increase in our exports, and hopefully yung the ports can function again as they are starting to function. No? Pero what I want to tell you, I should have mentioned this at the top, is what we've been busy, no, yung consulates dito and the embassy, aside from the Filipino community, particularly yung Xiamen at saka Guangzhou consulates. There have been more than 30 flights na ng Philippine Air Force picking up medical supplies. The past month and the past 2 weeks, almost twice a day. Before it was once a day, no, or a couple of times a week, starting March, and then up to this week, no, happening. The Philippine Air Force has been sending yung kanilang transport C-130 transport. Kasi bumili ang one is yung mga donations ng China, no, na sinusundo, no, kasi some of them dinala na sa Pilipinas ng Chinese planes, pero madami pa dito. Donations by local Chinese governments, no? Donations by Chinese organizations, as well as donations by Chinese Filipinos. Ang mga millionaires and prominent Filipinos, they buy it here, tapos dito naka-imbak, no? Kaya sinusundo ng Philippine Air Force C-130 flights, and almost every flight, mga ano yan, 8 tonelada. I mean, sorry. Yeah, 8 tons at most they brought. Ano dito, naka-impact ng ilang ano yan, warehouses. Paano na ngayon? Patapos na. Kasi bumili din ang DBM, no? Out of the government budget, it was decided by the IATF. They bought 1 million PPEs. Sets ng PPEs. So, ito na. Pabalik na. Nagpadala pa ng isang Philippine Navy boat just to, again, to bring a lot of the cargo. Papauwi na ngayon yung boat, and it should be reaching the Philippines shortly, no? Kasi umalis sila nung last week. It takes a few days to get there. So this is the thing that has been it's like parang an air bridge or a sea bridge, no? Yung logistics, basically PPEs, no? Red Cross, the Philippine Red Cross also brought mga ilang laboratories for testing. No, they bought it from China, and then they assembled it yan sa Philippine Red Cross headquarters, and they plan to set it up in several others. So a lot of medical supplies came from here, and continue to be transported from here.
Baka you have any last message for our kababayans who are listening right now? And
well, I think yung nangyari sa China, as well as other places around the world, no? Kasali ng Taiwan, kasali ng Hong Kong, kasali ng South Korea. The best practices, countries that have been able to put the virus outbreak under control, and China is one leading example on a big scale. We should learn from the experience, and the fact na yung mga kababayan natin dito, no? Except for 2 na actually galing pa sa labas, dito na lang na-detect na sila. Yung nandito, lahat kami, halos COVID-free. I mean, the Philippine community has managed to stay. Basically because we followed the instructions, no? Stay indoors, stay safe, wear face mask, avoid crowds, and basically take care. Hanggang ngayon nga, we're still careful when we go out because we try to avoid crowds, and hindi na kami sanay lumabas except for we need to buy things. But unti-unti, that is the way it goes. And I think we're going through that Philippines. As a matter of fact, we're still in the middle of this quarantine then, and there are some lessons to learn from the Chinese experience and the other best practices around the world.
Maraming salamat po, Ambassador, for your time, and it's always good to talk to you. Hindi po kami nga po humihingi ng paumanhin eh. Thank you so much po for taking care of our Filipino community there, and for all that information that you have imparted to us. Salamat ng marami po. Mabuhay po kayo.
Salamat. Mabuhay din kayo. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, and before we close, we'll leave you with a word of hope. At the end of the day, there remains so much more to be grateful for. See you again tomorrow evening. Good night. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.